What was last night like? 6,000 people in the building, big time basketball game, like old times, huh, Bill?
You know what? I'll just say that was the most fun I've had at a basketball game in more than 14 months. As somebody who didn't cover the bubble in person, and who has kind of been covering this slog of a regular season, 72 games, kind of jammed into a few months, no fans in the building, really no energy. Last night felt the closest to normal it's been. You had celebrities courtside at Staples Center. Michael B. Jordan was there with Drake. Heavyweight battle between LeBron and Steph Curry. And then it came down to the last play, which you love to see in a game that has stakes. So, I mean, there's so much in the world that is not back to normal, and 6,000 fans is a far cry from what a rockin' Staples Center would normally consist of. But it was a heck of a lot of fun, I thought, last night, and really sort of kind of set the stage for what to expect, going forward from this Lakers team and in this Western Conference battle.
Bill, we were talking just at the top of our show how the concept of, the Clippers apparently doing what they needed to do to make sure they were ensconced safely in the 4th seed to avoid any crossing of the paths with the Lakers until the last possible moment, and what they were doing and whether they were really doing that or not. And the concept was, hey, you want to see the Lakers early as opposed to late before they get their sea legs under them. It's tough to look at that second half and not think that the first half was the half and the time where you wanted to get the Lakers, and that maybe last night's game was enough for the Lakers to get back into the groove like last year. What do you think about that sense, Bill?
Well, I guess you never know when the switch gets flipped exactly, but it did feel like obviously the Lakers needed some time to feel out the Warriors, to kind of figure out what playoff intensity looks like. One thing the Lakers kept talking about last night, LeBron mentioned this, is that the Warriors had kind of been in playoff scenarios the last few games trying to lock down the 8 seed, whereas the Lakers have kind of been coasting. I think they finished the regular season on a 5-game winning streak, but, they hadn't played games with stakes in a really long time. And I think they were caught off guard by the intensity and discipline that the Warriors started the game with. And I think the Lakers needed some time to catch up, but I don't know if I would go so far as to say that one game got LeBron back in his groove and got, Andre Drummond acclimated and got all the pieces, firing in the way they'll need to when they get into those more meaningful playoff series, or excuse me, I guess I should just say those more intense playoff series where they're going to be, need to beat the Phoenix Suns 4 times and so on. I felt like that game was, what it needed to be. They made the plays they needed. They rose to the occasion in the right moment. I mean, LeBron was not very good in that game by his own standard until the 4th quarter. Anthony Davis, same. Like, I think it was like 5 of 11 to start the game, and then 5 of 6 in the 4th quarter, something like that. Like, had a huge 4th quarter. It just is, the Lakers were good when they needed to be, but they're going to need to be good for 48 minutes against the Suns and 7 times. So I do think there is still a little bit of a bar the Lakers need to clear here. But I thought last night was really galvanizing for them, and in that they haven't really had sort of a rallying cry this season. The bubble last year, they were the most dominant team. They came together, were really connected. And this year, they've kind of been a little more fragmented. And last night was kind of the moment where it felt like maybe they were starting to pull together just in time.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.